everyone, welcome to another AMA podcast. My name is Zizaran and we are now featuring ItmeJP as a guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be on and talk with someone who actually knows what they're doing in Path of Exile, rather than me who just has absolutely no idea and just follows the guides.
Well, that's the
So
thing, you've just started playing the game, but you've already been doing really well, and yeah, it looks like you've been having fun with the game.
yeah, I put about 300 hours, 330 or something like that into the last league. So I'm super excited for the next league, especially with all the stuff they're talking about adding and have already added in the patch.
So, a lot of my community don't know you. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do and what you do on Twitch?
Sure. Yeah. I'm trying to find the actual thread that you have on Reddit because I typed that out, but I guess it's too far down. I'm not gonna be able to find it. So I'm a streamer on Twitch. I do a bunch of shows. One of them being a show called Drop Frames, which is a weekly podcast with Co Carnage and Ezekiel_II. We just talk about video games, and we also do a show called Roleplay, which is more of like a franchise. We have different tabletop shows in there where we play things like D&D 5th Edition or Fate Accelerated, which is one of our other shows, but we've done, I don't know, 4,000 or so hours of different shows over the past 5 years with that. And then aside from all the shows, I'm a normal variety streamer, streaming every day at 1 o'clock Eastern, and recently picked up Path of Exile in the last league and put about, like I said, 300 hours into it. So I guess you could say I'm kind of into the game. I kind of enjoy Path of Exile.
Yeah, it was really, really fun, watching you get into the game and everybody has a different first experience. So what first got you into Path of Exile? Because I remember you said you first tried it in the beta and then didn't play it for a while. So what got you back into
Yeah,
it?
I don't know what caused me to download the beta initially, because that came out in 20. At least my account, I have a PM from someone or something that's probably automated on Path of Exile community boards from 2013, I think is
Yeah,
when that was.
that's it.
Um, and it might have been the allure of Diablo 3 was what it was, and I was kind of just looking to see, hey, maybe this is the hot new thing, the next new thing. But they didn't really have that much content out then. It was pretty rough, and the game, I feel like, and I think a lot of other people do, has changed drastically, especially with 3.0. They're well now 3.1, their most latest patch. I feel like the game's really just changed dramatically, and for whatever reason, it hooked me. Um, I wasn't the biggest Diablo 3 player.
Hmm.
I did like a 24-hour stream on launch and stuff like that, but I don't know. We were talking about that earlier today on Drop Frames. Like, what is it that hooks you into Path of Exile? And I've always kind of just said that I enjoy watching the numbers get bigger.
Yeah.
And Path of Exile is a very number-driven game, very stat-driven game, and that stuff's always fun. Numbers get better, you feel like a more powerful character, and you kind of just progress forward. It has a real good sense of like power urgency in it, where
Hmm.
you just the more items you acquire, the more whatever you acquire, you just feel like a bigger badass in game, and I kind of like that.
Would that be your single favorite thing about the genre in general?
Um, Yeah, I think Path of Exile specifically has stuff that a lot of other games don't, specifically the community, and I think a lot of
Hmm.
that is stemmed from just how the currency situation, or not situation, but the currency exists in the game.
Yeah.
Um, they don't obviously use gold or anything like that. They use the different types of currency in there, and for whatever reason, I think when I first looked at that, I thought that was kind of weird and archaic, and
Yeah.
I didn't make much sense, but after playing with it for so long, I think it actually does create like a community around the game. And I never really thought that that's something that could exist from something like the in-game currency. And the whole PoE trade thing, I was pretty against it when I started out. I didn't want to communicate with people, but the more I did, I think I ran into like maybe two assholes and a
Hmm.
bajillion different trades that I did. And a lot of it was because I was lowballing the fuck out of them on whatever item it was. And
Yeah, that
so they had
happens a
every
lot.
right to be an asshole to me, uh, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, it's the hell of a game. And I think the community, especially for whatever reason when I was starting out, and I think a lot of streamers when they started 3.1 or 3.0 kind of had the same thing. Uh, Everyone's like really supportive and wanting to share Path of Exile with everyone. You have a ton of people like yourself and a bunch of the other streamers and content creators that make builds and everything. And people get into that and kind of form a group just around the builds themselves, right? Like, oh, I love the spectral throw. It's my favorite build, blah, blah, blah. Have you tried this with it? Does that work? And that type of stuff is really fucking cool. And so I'm just it's a weird thing when you get into kind of these more niche gaming communities. Granted, I feel like it's blown up exponentially since 3.0.
Yeah.
But when you get into these niche gaming communities, just how nice they are. It's kind of a breath of fresh air coming from like a, like a League of Legends or an Overwatch where everyone's just fucking toxic as hell.
Yeah, I've been playing Overwatch a little bit lately, and wow, it's
Yeah, it's
I
rough,
was
right?
joining the voice comms in the start, and then I stopped.
Yeah, yeah, it's rough. It's rough for sure.
So, before we start off with the questions, this is a question for me. How did you get into streaming, like on Twitch?
Um, that's the short answer is I kind of started in the industry when streaming started, in a sense. I started streaming, or rather, podcasting is really where it all started out back in like 2009 or 2011 when I was in college with a show called ArenaCast. It was a
Hmm.
WoW, World of Warcraft PvP podcast, and we did that for I think 3 or 4 years or something like that. I forget the timeline of it, but streaming really wasn't a thing back then with that. It wasn't until StarCraft 2 came out, when we started to use a site called livestream.com. And before that, we used a site called ustream.com, which both I think still exist, but they're more corporate and sports focused now, I think. But Twitch, which was then Justin, contacted people like Day9 and people like myself. And we were pretty good friends kind of growing up together in the StarCraft 2 world and the esports world, and said, hey, Justin is going to become Twitch. We'd like you guys to come over and stream on there. And so that's kind of how I started. I think my Twitch account is from 2012 in like February. So I missed the 2010 by about 2 months, which is kind of the true OG crew,
Yeah,
the Dance Gaming and the Man vs. Game crew, Swifter and all them.
still
But
pretty
yeah,
OG.
yeah. From then it just kind of different shows. Drop Frames I think was created in like 2014. Roleplay was created in 2012. I want to think, or maybe 2013. I don't know. I've been doing it for a while, and it wasn't really I didn't ever plan to become like a daily streamer or like a variety streamer. It was more just, well, let's do these shows and see where that goes. And ended up doing really well early on. And yeah, I just said, well, let's try this whole streaming thing. We'll try streaming every day, and that's kind of still kind of I guess a secondary or a tertiary job, whereas the shows kind of take precedent on the channel. But I still enjoy playing games, so I'm still going to continue streaming them regardless of what type of audience they have, etc.
Yeah, no, that's crazy to me how long you've been doing it. Like, I just started in 2015, so it's very inspiring that you're
Yeah.
like still like
Well,
pretty cool.
yeah. It's Twitch is it's a unique thing. It's always, I think, no matter when you get started in Twitch, you still kind of share everyone kind of knows what happens, I guess, when you stream and kind of the lifestyle of streaming, because there's not really a job that's comparable to it, which is kind of a weird thing. But once you do it, you can finally have that conversation with those streamers, and there's kind of a weird relationship already
Mhm.
formed
Yeah,
before you ever talk to anyone about it.
I think if I was gonna compare it to anything, I would say it's similar to starting your own business, especially in like
Yeah,
hours and stuff like that, and
yeah,
how much
I would say
effort.
it. I mean, you're basically your own boss, right? So
Yeah.
it takes a certain type of personality, I think, to be able to kind of manage that stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
also takes like a workaholic, right? Like you got to put in the hours for sure, regardless of what stage you're at streaming. So it's
Yeah.
an interesting job for sure.
I can relate to that. The hours do get a little bit crazy sometimes.
Well, I mean, you're over here pulling 12 plus hour streams. You're kind of on the extreme side for sure.
A little bit. But that's sort of like I gotta catch up, right? I started late. Gotta catch up.
Right,
Um,
right. You're on the grind for without a doubt,
exactly.
without a doubt.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna start off with questions from Reddit, and the first one was by Yodi, which is basically what I've already covered, which is like how do you find out about PoE and stuff like that. So we've covered that. And the second one
Yep.
is by Robot Pirate Moses. What's been your favorite build in Path of Exile that you've tried so far?
Um, let me list the builds that I've tried if I can remember. I should probably, maybe I could open Path of Exile, but I tried a RF Scorching Ray. The first build I tried, I went into Path of Exile not even expecting to play it, and
Mhm.
Lyric and Shorty basically said, "Hey, we're going to be playing Path of Exile if you want to play with us on Friday." Blah blah blah. And I jumped in. I was kind of just walking around. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and people were like, "You need to decide on a build. It's one of the most important things. Like, decide on something." And I go, "I don't know. I kind of liked I like Chain Lightning and Diablo 2. Like that was kind of fun." They go, "Okay, you could play an Arc Sork or something
Yeah.
like that." It's like, all right, whatever. So I found some random build on the forums, and I think it was around like level 50 or 60, and we were all new at the game, so that this was like 10 hours in, right? We were terrible, and still learning everything. Um, and Shorty was playing Sunder at the time, and just happened to kind of luck into Sunder's a really strong build, or at least it was. I'm not sure with the patch notes as of late, but uh, he was just killing things like so much fucking faster than me, like just outright destroying everything, and it was really infuriating
Yeah.
because we were running maps together at the time. We weren't solo leveling, or not maps. We were running the story stuff together, uh, and so he'd go off in one direction and clear in a matter of seconds, and I'd be there with my stupid arc bullshit trying to do damage and not killing a single fucking thing. Um, and so I eventually, I think around I think I had just started maps. So it was probably like late 60s, early 70s. I ended up remaking into a RF Scorching Ray character. Um, and that was a lot of fun, but the balance, like balancing RF to not die from it,
Oh yeah.
as well as still have good damage, is an art in itself. And I think you have to understand the mechanics a lot better than I did at the time.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
quite
after
complicated.
it took it took a lot of tweaking, and I eventually just got frustrated. And then I ended up rolling. I think I went Spectral Throw, Ellie
Mm.
Spectral Throw after that. I joined that a lot. It was super fun. And then I made a Sunder character, which was probably one of my favorite. And then I actually went back and dropped Righteous Fury or RF rather, and then made a Scorching Ray only character.
All right.
That's what I ended up killing Shaper with, and that was probably my favorite, only because it was really easy to run with. You're able to like level and just destroy bosses so fucking quick with like a double pyre ring, which is really cheap.
Mm.
And I think probably Scorching Rays is probably still my favorite build that I've played thus far. But it's around I think 6 or 7 different builds. But
It's really amazing that you managed to kill like Shaper so early as well, like when you just started playing. Really cool.
yeah, that was kind of like my goal. Once I didn't even know that Shaper was a thing until
Mm.
probably like 2 or 3 days. And I remember someone specifically in my chat. I forgot what it was. Maybe I was fighting Katava or something like that. It's like, man, this guy, one shot and this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. I go, I wonder like what the harder stuff is. And someone mentioned chat like Shaper. And I go, oh, what's Shaper? And he goes, oh, you don't need to worry about that. You won't kill it for a couple months. And I go, okay, well, that's the goal then. I'm going to kill Shaper. So that's what I
Nice.
started off. Yeah.
I like that
That
attitude.
was fun. Yeah.
It's funny that I brought up Shorty because he actually messaged me and was like, what are some good builds? And I was like, Sunder and a couple
Oh
other
my God.
things.
He was like, oh yeah, I found this build, man. It's
Yeah,
incredible. Fucking, he had the inside source, man.
good. Next question is by Silly Boy Tomato. If you were to recommend a friend to play Path of Exile, what would you say? And also, if you were to tell a friend not to try Path of Exile, what would you say?
Um, I feel like, and this might be more of a streamer thing, but I feel like one of the best things. In fact, actually, DJ Wheat. I was talking to him. He's a Twitch employee. He's done a ton of stuff in terms of broadcasting and whatnot. Um, I was talking to him like 3 or 4 days ago. He's asking what I was playing. I said, I'm getting hyped for new league and Path of Exile, new patch and all that stuff. He goes, oh yeah, I've never touched that game. Should I jump into it? And I sat there and I kind of like hesitated. I was like, well, I really don't want to tell you anything about the game because I think one of the best moments of anyone's Path of Exile career, if you can call it such a thing, is opening up the passive skill
Oh yeah.
list at the giant grid for the first time ever. I think that was one of my favorite clips of myself streaming, and I think it was one of my favorite clips of when 3.0 came around. everyone eventually hit the passive skill and just saw the massive fucking options that you have. And it's a little bit intimidating, but I think that's kind of like the decider, right? Like
Mhm.
if people see that and they're like, ah, man, that's all right, let's dive in. Or they're like, ah, fuck, this is way too complicated. I'm out. Right. Like that type of decision, I think people will make for themselves. Um, what I did warn people on stream and also Wheat when I was talking to him is, hey, if you want to lose like hours, just simply during the day, you have no idea where 10 hours went. Path of Exile is your thing. It just evaporates time
Yep.
for whatever reason, and you completely lose yourself in the game. It's a good one of those, but you got to be wary, right? Like not everyone has 10 hours a day to burn on a game. So I think I would just say, be careful about not be careful about going too hard. And if you are going to play, jump in blind for a little while, get used to the game, and then try to find a build that looks like something that would be fun. Watching streamers is a really good way. Just kind of going through the game directory and jumping from stream to stream, seeing what everyone else is doing. If you think, hey, this guy's doing something that looks really cool. What the fuck is that? And following he probably has a build or a guide or something like that you can follow. It's probably the best way to do it, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. It's got a really good community around it, which is like especially good for new players.
Yeah, yeah,
The
ton of guides.
Yeah, for sure. The next question is by WelpXD, which is asking, what was your biggest mistake so far? Either worst self-scam, worst purchase, or worst character choice.
I mean, going arc was really bad. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like it set a good with how bad that character was, it set a good line of like, hey, this is how much better other characters are, right? Better builds are. And it really kind of nailed in the idea that you got to have a build and, other people are much smarter than anyone else starting out ever could be. So try to choose something like that. In terms of, I'm trying to think if I ever fucked up an item or anything like that. Not really. Most of the nice thing about being a streamer is, before I did anything, and it was pretty insane at the beginning, I wouldn't use any currency on any item unless chat had convinced me that it was the proper thing to do, right? Especially when I started getting even something as simple as a chaos, like even just 1C. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I know this is people there was some fanfare in the chat when that dropped. I know it's important. I have absolutely no idea why it's important, but what do I need to do with that? And that type of stuff kind of led it to where I didn't make too many big mistakes. But yeah, I don't know. Probably Arc's first build was pretty awful. But I wouldn't really change it because, like I said, it set me up for kind of knowing the different power gauges in the game and kind of what is really good and what is really bad. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if I would have started out Sunder, I would have been like, oh man, this game's a fucking joke. Like I'm never
Exactly.
dying. I'm
Yeah.
killing everything. So I'm kind of glad I started off on the lower tier of builds for sure.
That's definitely a really nice thing about being a streamer as well. Like you're not just playing the game solo. You have so many people playing alongside you and with you, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, they'll tell you when you're doing something wrong, and they'll tell you when you're doing something right. And I think I ended up getting a pretty early exalt drop, and
Hmm.
everyone lost their fucking shit. I'm just like, guys, it's like, what? Why is it? Try to explain to me what this means, and it wasn't until much later until I started I was pretty against trading. I think I said this in the beginning. Pretty against using PoE trade because I didn't
Mm.
realize how important it was to the game or is to the game. So when I got that drop, everyone in chat lost their fucking minds, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just put this in my stash. I have no idea what that means. And the second one I dropped, I freaked out when it dropped.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
yeah, the idea of learning that stuff was pretty cool. So
Yeah, like I think my single favorite thing about the game is the currency system. Like I love how
yeah,
it's not gold and stuff like that.
yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited for Friday because everything's reset, and even finding a shitty unique, I'm
Yep.
still gonna be excited about, right? It's not like, oh fuck, I'm not even gonna pick that up. It's like, oh, okay, that dropped. Well, maybe I'll use that for something.
And
So
everything sells in the start, which is really nice. Like even like bad
right.
uniques.
And I didn't even know, again, I didn't use the currency stuff. So I don't know what that's gonna be like, if I'm just
Yep.
gonna wanna sell everything, if I'm gonna I don't know. I'm excited to now understanding a bit about the game, jumping into it with everyone, getting a fresh wipe is gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm excited for you because this is like your first time with a fresh wipe and you know what you're doing. So I think you'll have a great
Yeah, yeah,
experience.
I'll somewhat, right? Like,
I mean, you
I'm
killed
not
Shaper. You know what you're doing now. You'll be fine.
kind of. We'll see, we'll see. It's not gonna be the best start. I still don't know what I'm playing yet, so I gotta figure that out, but yeah. I'm excited for it regardless.
The next question is more of a technical question by Tenfo Dao. If you could create a unique item, what would it do?
I saw this question when I was reading through the thread, when you posted it. I have absolutely no idea what a unique item would be. I feel like it would be, I don't know, man. I think I hate 6 link items or items that require like a 6 link. So it definitely
Hmm.
wouldn't be like a staff or a chest because 6 linking is a fucking nightmare. It'd probably be like a, I don't know. I was a big fan of SOJs back in the Diablo 2 days.
Hmm.
And my my friend was one of the guys that figured out how to dupe back in the early days
Oh.
of Diablo 2 and ended up selling a bunch of SOJs on eBay, like a stack of 40 for like $200. So I'd probably go like something similar to an SOJ.
Hmm.
Um,
Very cool.
and I guess a ring, but I don't know what it would do. I'd have to think on that.
Plus
But
one skill levels.
do what?
Plus one skill levels of all your gems. Anywhere.
Yeah, but then it becomes like the god item, right? Like
Yeah.
then that's used in every fucking build. So I don't. It would. I don't know if I'd want something that's like super used in every build, or if it's like super niche. Probably super niche.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. It would be a ring though. I know that much.
Very cool.
I just don't know what it would be.
And Dazus is asking, Abyss Hardcore, yes or no? And what are your goals for this league?
Hardcore is something I don't think I'll. If I do approach it in Abyss, it'll be towards the very very end, only because I want to try and if I'm gonna go play hardcore, I want to have like everything like prepped in a sense of like this is what I'm doing at every single
Yeah.
step along the way. Um, but goals for this is I just want to see all the new bosses. Kill Shaper again for sure. I think is it Elder? Is that the name of the big bad now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see what that is all about. And then there's a bunch of other bosses. It seems from what I've seen them posting. So I want to see all that stuff as well. Um, I think it we don't really know obviously what a lot of the bosses skill levels or difficulty levels will be, but if I think like Uber at Zeri would probably be fun.
Hmm.
And then what is the one that it's the tier 13 map that everyone says is like the hardest boss,
You're
or
13.
maybe tier 15. Like
Val
there was an
Temple?
is that the one? Maybe it's Vol Temple.
The Val
I
Temple's
think
like
it's
one of
Vol
the hardest
Temple.
maps, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think probably clearing that. I had a Vol Temple map that dropped for me last league, but I ended up selling it because everyone was like, "You don't want to fuck with this shit."
Rigwald's pretty hard too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I killed Rigwald. Probably not, but just to see all that stuff and
Yeah.
complete it would be fun. I think that everyone Path of Exile is the type of game where it's like you kill Shaper, then everyone's like, "Oh, but did you do this?" Blah blah blah. And so I kind of want to be able to be that guy as well.
They've done everything.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's some solid goals, and I think there's going to be a lot more like crafting opportunities as well, both for people who are like familiar with crafting and who are new to it, like with the
Yeah,
new Elder items and stuff like that. So that'll be insane.
that was probably one of my favorite things in terms of just things that I would do on stream. Was crafting jewels. I was really into just crafting jewels and selling them for a shit ton of chaos. Like,
Actually, a really
er,
profitable way. Yeah.
yeah, like early to mid league, it was super fun. Like getting a 7% life or any percent life, and then putting on a stupid fucking hype song and being like, "All right, I'm gonna put this thing on here," and then just getting absolute trash and
Oh,
being like, "Fuck." Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing that with the community.
yeah, for sure. Like I ended up using 13,000 chaos on axe crafting and got nothing. So that was
Yeah, yeah.
Yup.
That's a lot more than I use for sure, but it's there's an addiction for sure.
Oh yeah, I sit there like slapping my wrists, like just one more hit, just one more hit, just a few more. So
Right,
it's
right.
Tonight M87 is asking, what builds are you looking forward to trying, and what do you think of the new supporter packs?
I haven't looked. Well, that's not true. I have looked at the supporter packs. I think the first, whatever the cheapest one, looks pretty cool. Some of the other one, some of the more expensive ones are kind of not my favorite.
Yeah.
But I'll probably end up buying them just because whatever. Um, and what was the first part of the question? I heard MTX and I had to talk about it.
What
What was the
build?
first part?
What build are you looking forward to trying this
Oh,
thing?
um, I was thinking. I don't know. I was thinking like Essence Drain. A lot of people said that's really fun. But then I looked at some videos of it and I don't. It looks kind of passive. Like I don't. I like the type of build like a Spectral Throw or an RF where you just kind of like jump into the middle of everything and then do a spin
Yeah,
or activate an ability and then jump again. Like whatever you want to call that type of character,
yeah,
that
like
type of
like
build is
more
what
an
I'm into.
active playstyle, like Cyclone and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That type of stuff is fun. But I just I don't know. I don't know. Cyclone might be fun. I'm trying to get away from whatever build is like super popular is usually the most expensive, obviously. And
Right.
so I want to try to play something that's not that popular but still is good. And so I'll probably spend a decent amount of time either tonight or Thursday night just looking at different builds out there. Because I guess a question for you, like, did the patch really change too much, or is pretty much everything still going to be viable? That might
Well,
be a big question, but
pretty much everything that's viable now will be. There were very few like game-changing nerfs, and I was playing like Righteous Fire's shield and stuff got a little bit nerfed, which I was playing around with now.
yeah,
But they've said like they weren't doing that many of the changes. Because they kind of ran out of time, which is like I already thought it was crazy they were putting out an expansion this fast.
right,
So when I
right,
scrolled
yeah,
through the patch notes and I saw like the ascendancy changes, I was like, wait, where's the rest of them? And then everyone was like, no, this, read this, Chris posted. And I was like, okay, no, that's fair, that's fair. So
yeah,
there's not that huge of a meta change. However, there's a lot of the new support gems, like especially like Ancestral and stuff like that.
yeah,
I think there'll be a lot more, like you were saying, you don't necessarily want to play the most popular. I think there'll be a lot of like very strong skills that might not be like super popular, but they'll still be really good. I think
yeah.
there'll be a lot
Okay,
more of those now. And not necessarily like tier one or the best, but still really good.
that's
So
cool.
it'll be
Yeah, and
interesting.
then there's also the new skills, which I think everyone's probably pretty interested in just seeing how they work. But I very highly doubt that someone has already like put up a build for that that's super refined and
Mhm.
whatnot. So I think kind of my plan is to get a build that's just very quick at clearing maps and then doing that for probably the first week and then kind of sitting down and figuring out like what's going to be a good build to shaper and elder blah blah blah. But trying to just get in there and farm as much as possible in the
Yeah.
first week or so is probably going to be the goal.
Yeah, that's when you make the most amount of currency as well in like the early start.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't understand the idea of like making currency when I started out, and I think there was a couple. I don't remember the specific drops, but I got a couple of drops that were really profitable and ended up making like 500 or 600 C in
Oh,
2 or 3
nice.
days, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a god! This is the best thing ever." And I think I ended up using like I think my biggest purchase ever was 530 chaos on a 6 link Belly of the Beast,
Oh,
uh, and that was kind of like that was a big deal, right?
yeah.
Because I used that belly for almost every build after that. I used it for Spectral Throw, I used it for Sunder, I used it for like everything. And so trying to either get an item that can kind of be versatile in a bunch of different builds for a big purchase like that is at least what I'm going to try to do. But we'll see. I don't,
Yeah, no,
maybe
that's
I'll get a
very
lucky
big.
drop.
That's what's so nice
Yeah,
about Belly, especially.
yeah.
Redemption 99 is asking, are you going to be following a build guide in Abyss League, or are you going to be creating one yourself?
We'll definitely be following something. I thought about trying to create it, but again, I don't think. I think there's a lot of different stages of knowledge within Path of Exile, with probably the
Mm,
last one or second to last one being, being able to create your own build and not having it being a steaming piece of shit
yeah,
when you finish. With probably the highest tier being able to like run the market, the PoE trade. I think that just takes so much knowledge of the game, and I'm just not comfortable yet doing something like that. So if I do something like that, it would probably like plan out a hardcore character, but that might be next season. We'll just have to see. It'll either be super late this season or whichever the next one is.
I like how you're already planning for the next season, though. That's like a
Well,
good sign
it's
that you're hooked.
I'm realistic in the goals that I want to try to do, uh, and I'm also realistic in like my knowledge of the game, and so I'm always looking like, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do this time. Maybe next time around we'll do something else. So
The next question is by Moray. Are there any role plays planned within the world of Raycast? Maybe have PoE streamers join in on the fun.
yeah, I
And
saw this question.
and
Go
have
ahead.
you heard about Path of Paper, for example?
Path of Paper. That is Ziggy's show, correct? Is that right?
So Angry AA is the host, and then it's me, Siggy, Qtog, and Gilbert
Okay.
Amy as well. It's
I
basically
I
like a Path of Exile role-playing game.
right. I knew the. Do you guys just jump around? Do you just use your movement skills nonstop in the?
No, it's
So
actually very little movement skills, surprisingly.
wow. Okay. All right. It's like Path of Exile, but slowed down.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no plans for anything PoE related. We might do like a one shot or something like that in 2018. That'd be fun. Um, but yeah, right now, no plans. I've heard of the show. I've never watched it.
Mhm.
And I know that there is like a tabletop community within Path of Exile, but yeah, I need to watch a show and just kind of see, like, is it based off of a system? Is it its own
So
system? What
he's actually made everything from scratch, and then he's gotten like
really?
more and more people to get like help him. And I think I've made 11 changes now just because my character got so broken. Because whenever I'm playing games like this, I'm like, right, oh, this is gonna be OP, and then he's
Yeah.
like, no, that's too good. We have to change this. It's like my character literally became immortal at one point.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, it's been changed more
Um,
and more.
yeah, it might be a one shot or something like that for sure. I'll definitely check out the show for sure. Is it a weekly thing, monthly thing? How often do you guys run it?
So we were initially having it as a weekly thing, and Angry has like been like doing more and more real life stuff. So currently we don't really know what's happening. So
Sure.
currently
It's
on the
so pretty
brain.
much like any other pen and paper
Yeah.
group. Yeah, yeah, I know that goes for sure. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I never say no to running different rule sets on anything role play related, but I do know that Path of Exile has its own uh, pen and paper tabletop style stuff. I just haven't jumped into it too much.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. How did you first get started on like role playing in general? Like have you done like D&D before streaming and stuff?
No, I did it once when I was in high school. My brother at the time, who's 6 or 7 years older than me, he worked at a GameStop, which is like a big arcade,
Mhm.
and his coworkers decided they were going to play fourth edition because it had just come out. D&D fourth edition had just come out, and my brother asked me for whatever reason, I have no idea why, if I wanted to join. I said yeah, so I joined him. My character ended up dying. That I don't know if it was necessarily because I made a mistake or if the people that were there were so much older than me that they were just like, why is this fucking like 16 or 17-year-old here? And ended up never going back to it.
Mm.
Cut to like 2013, we did our first role play show with four of my friends that were kind of from the StarCraft community, and we ended up just tweeting out like, "Hey, any DMs out there that want to DM a game for us?" That's where we ended up meeting a guy by the name of Koibu, who's a Twitch streamer, and yeah, the first show was 50 or so weeks or something like that, and it kind of just more and more people started watching and supporting the show, and we started branching out and working with different people, and that was like 5 years ago. So before that I had not really played any tabletop stuff, and now it's kind of like my livelihood in that
Yeah,
sense. So.
no, that's really cool. And do you watch oh, what's that like the biggest D&D thing on Twitch? What's it called? I always forget like names.
Critical Role.
That's it. Do you watch that as well?
uh One of the things about running a bunch of shows every week is that it's hard to watch a bunch of shows every
Yeah,
week.
for
We
sure.
do, at least right now, we're at about 8 to 10 hours of role play content a week. Then we have a Patreon as well that
Mm.
takes some time away. But um, there's a lot of like tabletop shows out there in general, and it's hard to watch everything. So I've definitely watched some Critical Role before. I watched a lot of their like season finale or show finale that they did, and I'm super interested to see what they end up doing in 2018 when they kind of reboot it.
Hmm.
But yeah, Critical Roles. I think everyone kind of on Twitch has at least heard or watched it before
Yeah.
because it's a big deal for sure.
It's so cool how there's so many different shows and so many, yeah, there's so much on Twitch. It's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
there's. I think if you open up any time of day the D&D directory, there's like 30 different games running,
Hmm.
which is fucking insane. So there's definitely a lot of content out there.
The next question is by Zafrex. As a new PoE convert, will you be doing your due diligence by trying to rope in more friends to try to play the game?
Well, I got DJ Wheat a day or two ago. I think he said he was going to try it out. Um, and I tried to see if Lyric was going to play this season. I don't think he's going to. I don't think Shorty will either. Ko's definitely in. Ko even said he's going to be following a build.
Oh, nice.
He's having his because he didn't follow a build at all last season and ended up with like a weird. I'm not even sure what skill he was playing, a ranger and archer of some
Last train, I
bow
think.
user. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I'm doing my best to preach the good word of Path of Exile for sure. I think it's a super interesting game, but it definitely takes like the right type of player for it. Not,
Hmm.
I don't think anyone can pick up Path of Exile and have a super fun time. They have to have a kind of a slightly addictive personality in a
Oh
way
yeah.
to really jump into it.
Yeah, it's a very grindy game. That's probably why I like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to fucking do in the game, which is awesome. So I think Dan's Gaming is playing. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
person in chat that does that. Yeah, he's been talking to me about different things and builds that he wants to try out for sure.
Cool. I'm glad so many people are coming back as well. Like the more people find the game, the better.
Yeah, totally. And I think with all this hat business, I think you'll see viewership kind of skyrocket, especially on Friday.
Dude,
I'm curious to see where it all goes.
it's been insane. I'm gonna tell you, like the hats, like people want their hats. Like
Oh,
I
I know, I
had a
know.
1.14,300 people tuning in because of hats.
I know. I'm hoping we were talking about this today. I'm hoping that was kind of a like a test of the system, and that on Friday or sometime next week they kind of announce like something else like, oh, now you can get loot box or something like that to
That is
keep people.
exactly the email I sent to Bex. I was like, so
Yeah.
maybe shifted
Well,
another item on Friday.
it's smart. Like the idea came from what Warframe did
Mhm.
a month or so ago, and it skyrocketed Warframe up on the game list, the game directory list for Twitch, which
Yeah.
it's just free advertising at that point, right? You're not really giving anything away, especially if it's not MTX, and they're not, or rather, you're not giving away like the game because game's free to play, right? So
Mhm.
you're just really getting your community and kind of getting them all in one place. I think there is some weird stuff like tomorrow night for the Game Awards, which is a big production that's being put on. I think it was announced today that Warframe, if you watch the Game Awards and you have your Twitch account linked with Warframe linked to it as
Mhm.
well, you can get a drop. So it's like
Ah.
you're kind of like idle botting another program.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Like I'm sure when you had those 14,000 people, there weren't 14,000 people chatting in your stream,
Oh
right? Like
no, for sure.
yeah,
Especially
yeah,
like I was doing like 22 to 26-hour streams and stuff, so obviously a lot of people leave it on. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like very, very happily surprised with the amount of people. Like there was a lot more interacting than normal and so many more. I think I got like 7,000 followers in 2 days or 3 days.
Wow, that's
And
awesome
like
though.
it's
I
not
mean,
like you need to follow for that, right? So
yeah. It's a weird thing. I'm curious to see kind of what happens on Twitch because Warframe did it, Path of Exile did it. There's a lot of success. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more success for the
mhm.
next couple of weeks with 3.1 launching. Can you imagine if like I don't know World of Warcraft?
Ooh.
If you linked your Twitch account to your World of Warcraft account and you watched Tally fucking play games, that you would get a pet. Like, can you imagine the amount of
2.2
people?
million.
Yeah, it would be insane. Like, if they do that with other games, one, viewership is going to start meaning a lot less, and two, viewership is going to skyrocket number wise,
Yeah.
which at the end of the day, like that's what Twitch wants, right? They want to be able to go to people and say like, hey, we've got this many concurrent users on our website at any given time. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. They just got to be careful because it's at the end of the day, it's like idle view botting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird topic.
Well, it's also like it's very nice because you're sort of like giving an incentive to people who like, oh, I don't want to watch Twitch, right? And a lot of
Right.
people will initially like, oh, I don't want to watch people play, I want to play myself. But then when they've done it and see there's a community there, they're like, oh, well, this is kind of cool. Like I had a lot of people in chat say, for example, came for the hat, stayed for the Ziz.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've seen a bunch of different, just kind of browsing the directory, seen a bunch of different streamers saying like,
Mm,
idle here for hats, right? Like they're into promoting it as they should be because it's a great way to kind of build an audience
yeah.
on a website that's all about building an audience. So
No, it's an interesting system to be sure. Like instead of your bots, there's hat bots now.
right, yeah. I think Mathel hosted the other or no, it was Rise who's in the I think I saw him in the chat earlier.
Mhm.
He ended up posting me and I think the spam was like, hat bots a symbol or something like that. It's pretty true. It's
It's
pretty
pretty
true.
true.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Shivi is asking, speaking of toxicity with trading and stuff, have you ever asked a question in global chat?
No, I actually only because I think I've just been in so many different gaming communities where like I abhor global chat. I never even I think the only time I ever used the chat functionality in Path of Exile was just to message someone.
Mhm.
I we had a clan or a guild or whatever they're called in Path of Exile, but I didn't use it too much. I think that's one thing I kind of want to experience this time around because it does create like a you kind of get it in your own chat as a streamer, right? Like people
Yeah.
will be like, "Oh man, I just got like an exalt drop. It's fucking awesome." And, oh, that's cool, dude. But it would be another thing if people were like linking it in the game. Um, of course, you get the people that message you in the game all the time, which can be fun. It can be shitty. It just depends on what they're messaging and how frequent it is.
Hey, price check?
Yeah, yeah, right. I would I got asked, when you or whoever the top streamer was at the time in the game directory when they would drop, I would somehow get to the top of that and became kind of like the de facto source for all things Path of Exile on Twitch. They would message me and be like, "Price check." I don't fucking know even what the item does, man. Just go to PoE trade and look. I don't even know what.
Yeah.
Learning the values of rares is definitely something that
Oh,
takes
for
an
sure.
extremely long time. And they would ask me, and I'd just be like, I don't fucking know. Ask someone else.
It's very hard. It takes a long time. Like
Yeah, it does. It does.
you kind of have to like play the build, like to know what quivers are good or what ones are good. You gotta have
Oh,
played it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think a perfect example is when I played Ellie Spectral Throw. I learned the different main and offhands and like what is good values for all that stuff.
Mhm.
And using what was another one for Sunder. I used for like what's a good Jax, right? Like what constitutes good stats on that, or resistances were another big one because it just never occurred to me when I was leveling for the first time that they're going to be important. And then I would see like, oh, that's a triple resist with life. Like you could probably do a lot of things with that, right? And that type of stuff is awesome to me. Just the fact that that isn't apparent to you when you start out, but then as you play and you start picking up more and more rares and you see that it is good, and then you're like, oh shit, I can sell that for a decent amount, etc. That's one of the cool things about the game for sure.
Yeah, and I'd say one of the scary things is like how like small the difference could look to a new player between the difference of a 20C item and a 200C item. It's like
Right.
a life double resist ring versus having weapon elemental damage on it, for example, could just like
Yeah, and
skyrocket the price.
you asked or someone asked the question like, what's one of your biggest mistakes? I'm sure in those
Yeah,
early days, that first week, I probably deleted a fuck ton of items that were worth a lot of money.
I think everyone
Um,
does. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it was either that or I sit there with, a full inventory and be like, all right, chat, how's this item? And then you wait for the stream delay, and about 20 seconds later, you have kind of a decent estimate of about, how many people are watching, 100 plus people are watching, saying like, oh no, that's bad, or oh, you could sell that, etc.
Yeah,
But
it's just a learning curve. Like I think everyone sold good items.
yeah, yeah. And then I I think the other thing too is the trade macro. I still don't use the trade macro, and I think that's probably the number one thing I get comments about is like, why didn't this guy have the trade macro? Like,
I don't use it either.
what are you fucking doing? It's like now it's just kind of a I'm stubborn in the sense that I've been told to use it so many times that I don't want to use it.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like looking up things manually and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, there's something unique about that for sure. But
Yeah. And I'm
it is what it is.
like some people, for example, want like, oh, when are we getting pets that can pick up items for us? And I'm like, I mean, at some point there's too much automation.
Yeah, I agree.
Arma Malum is asking, is there a build or interaction that you wish worked but doesn't?
Again, since I only followed builds, I never and I never have made one of my own. I don't really know something that wouldn't work with something else that I would prefer, right?
Mhm.
And I'm sure that's probably the case for the majority of Path of Exile players. Is you just follow a build that a YouTuber or a forum poster makes, and you go from there. Um, I would be curious to know like what percentages of people actually make their own builds.
Oh yeah.
Because I would wager that it's probably pretty low. That's just kind of the nature of the game. I would have been pretty happy if I could make that arc build work, but it seems like arc is just kind of shit right now. So
It's
I
not
don't
in a
know.
good
Maybe
place.
that changed. Do what?
Yeah, it's not in a good place.
It used to be really strong though, right? Like in previous versions of the game, it was really strong and it got nerfed or something like that.
Oh, well, I've played at least. I didn't play
Okay.
like super old school.
Okay. Maybe it's always been absolute shit then. I don't know.
It might be slightly better now that there's like less of a problem with reflects, I guess, but
Yeah. I guess my answer would be, I wish Arc was not terrible. I wish whatever build I played, which was Arc, but any build that I played was not terrible. That's
yeah.
kind of the goal, the dream, right? You just kind of want to luck into being making
The
a really good
first
build.
build be amazing, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I feel like you've had a good experience with having Arc and then having something more powerful afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got to be able to realize that it was more powerful, right? I got to see the
Yeah.
distinction between builds, which is cool.
Tex-Mex Troll is asking, what is your favorite microtransaction?
I would have to pull up because I don't know them all by names. I do kind of just like the idea that there's a $480 pack just to begin with, because it's such like an extreme thing that it's become like it's not necessarily a meme, but just a symbol of stupidity almost in Path of Exile. Like, sure, you bought the $480 pack. You're a dumbass for spending that much on the game, but you look kind of cool, I guess. I think wings are probably like some of the best looking
Yeah.
things in the game. They just look cool. Um, I'm opening my game here real quick, just to kind of go down the list. Um, I think wings are probably like some of the coolest MTX stuff. There's a bunch of different weapons, weapon effects. That, like the Colossus sword, I think looks really
Yeah.
cool.
I actually don't have that
Um,
one. I should get that.
yeah, like even any really of the weapons look pretty cool. Steam powered weapon looks all right. I'm just kind of scrolling down the list. Um, I'm interested to see some of the new because they're putting in new ones Friday, right? Like they're
Yeah.
adding in a bunch of new. Yeah.
Well, I think they said they might be a little delayed. It might not be
Okay.
available at launch.
Okay. Well, that's fine. There's definitely a bunch of helms as well that look really cool. Like
So just for
the
reference, I bought a lot of those 480 packs.
like the Scarecrow helm looks pretty cool. There's one that's like a full on like a green skull. I think I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. There's the bleach skull. I don't know. I think some of the MTXs kind of missed the point, and some are fucking really cool. Most of the wings are pretty good looking. I think the one that I've been using is where is it? The Phoenix wings look really cool, and the Ultimate Chaos wings look really good. I think those look cool. And then the pets are pretty fun. Like I just like having 2 frogs follow me around. Like that's real stupid. You can have like a baby elephant following around.
Oh, wait,
That's real
how much have
stupid.
you spent on this game already?
I think in the first league it was probably around 600 or 700.
Oh.
A lot of that was from people like tipping and saying like, "Hey, use this to buy certain stuff in the game." And then since they tipped for it, I'm not going to say like, "Fuck you, I'm pocketing it," right? Like I'm going to spend the money in a game. But yeah, I think 600 or 700, and I'll probably grab whatever the highest pack is this upcoming
The
season.
portal looks
Yeah.
really cool. I wasn't like a big fan of the
Yeah.
armor set, but the portal is badass. The second
The
highest
portals are
armor set
always
is
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the portals as well. And then, one of I guess my de facto favorite is the different skill effects that you can get. Those are like the fact that those just exist to begin with are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like Radiant Scorching Ray. I think since I use Scorching Ray as one of my favorite builds, that's super cool. Even for Spectral Throw, like Reaper Spectral Throw looks cool. I haven't seen a lot of the other ones.
Some of them look too cool, like the Frostbolt and Seraph Spectral Throw. It's sort of like mandatory. Like once you have them, you don't want to play without them.
Yep. Yeah, some of them do look really like they've just become the default for a lot of that stuff. The Divine Righteous Fury, or Righteous Fire. Sorry,
Yeah.
Warcraft person keeps saying Righteous Fury. Righteous Fire effect is really cool. Ghost Flame Raging Spirit effect, I think, has become the de facto in my mind for that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the one that I would always use. It's probably the Radiant Scorching Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Probably my favorite. That or the Ultimate Chaos Wings. Anyways, I gotta log out of the game or I'm gonna start playing.
Well, that's good, dude. It sounds like you really like it. The next question is by Zizaran. Who are your favorite Twitch streamers outside of Path of Exile streamers?
Just in general, like who do I watch?
Yeah, like on Twitch.
Kind of depends on, I guess, time of day and kind of what they're streaming. I think just general people that I would watch. I like watching Lyric. I've always kind of watched Lyric. He's a good friend of mine. I'll watch Dan play specific things. If there's a super rage-inducing game, I'll watch Zeke play something. Just because it's fun to watch Zeke rage. Trying to think like if there's someone that I know personally playing Getting Over It, I'll watch it. If there's someone I know playing playing Dark Souls, any Dark Souls game for the first time and going in blind, I'll watch that without a doubt. Those are always like fun treats. But yeah, I watch a lot of Lyric. I'll watch a bunch of Shroud lately. He's always super fun to watch. You gotta watch Dr. Disrespect. He's cool. There's pretty much always a stream open on my on one of my monitors, regardless if I'm not streaming. So it kind of bounces from bunch of different people for sure. But those are kind of the same people that most people watch. There's not anyone really super specific.
And have you tuned in a lot to like Path of Exile streamers now that you've started playing it?
Yeah, especially once I quit the game, I had it was a drug, right? So I had to quit. I had to stop watching it as well. But coming back into it this past week, I've been watching a lot of you, a lot of Mathel. I watch a lot of Cute Dog for the positive mental attitude. I think he's kind of he's kind of a fun streamer. Yeah, he's got a cool tone to him for sure. And then generally just like whoever's in the top spot. And sometimes I'll just poke around to a bunch of different people just to see like what type of builds they're running and if anything looks interesting. But yeah, I think whoever's at the top really is kind of who I'll go to for sure.
This is a very difficult question, which I know a friend of yours will not be able to do.
Okay.
So Retararated Cookie is asking, ask ItmeJP how to pronounce your name.
Okay. So I would go with I will mispronounce it and say Zizaran, but I think it's Zizaran is how you would want it to be pronounced, I think. Co can't pronounce it at all. How do you say it?
Zizaran.
Zizaran. Okay, just straight to the point. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was watching the clip with Ko earlier. It was like,
I know some people say Zizarian. They'll add an I in there.
don't like that.
Um, I know for the longest time, I when I first started playing Path of Exile and I didn't know kind of the streamers that play the game, I called Mathel Mathis for like
I was there when
2 weeks.
oh, it broke
And I was
me.
like, "Oh yeah, that Mathis guy, he's cool. He's great, man. I love Mathis." And everyone's like, "Who the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
I was
And they're
there
like,
when
"You
you
mean
said it one
Mathel?"
time. And it broke
Yeah,
me. It was so
yeah.
funny.
And if I'm like focused on something else, and I'll just casually say it, I'll say Mathis. I'm like, I don't know why, for sure.
Dude,
But yeah, as someone who gets it, it's me, JP, a lot. I'll
mm.
never forget how to pronounce your name, Zizaran.
Well,
It's
thank you. I actually used to
yeah.
be PC Child on Twitch.
Really? When did you change and what was the reason?
So I just started streaming and I had no idea that like the name, your title on Twitch or anything was important, right? So I just started
Yeah.
streaming and then suddenly I had 300 followers and then I was like, oh, I have 300 followers now. It's too late to change. And then
Yeah.
like people were like, you need to change. And then I had like 2,000. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, what have I done? And it just kept like growing. And I kept asking like different Twitch people, like, can you please change my name? And they weren't doing
Yeah.
name changes back then. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. They weren't.
at some point, I think it was around when I hit 700 subscribers, I asked Mr. Do you know Slin?
No, I don't think I actually know him.
Well, he was my partner rep at the time. He's not a
Okay.
partner rep anymore. But I asked him like, and I had asked him before, can you try to get a name change for me? He's like, I'll see what I
Yeah.
can do, but you've already been declined, so probably can. Then the next day he messaged me like, hit F5 on your browser, and I was like, oh my god. So they got it
Wow.
changed. It was a big thing because
That's
PC
awesome.
Child is a bad name. That was
Yeah.
bad.
I have my name spelled incorrect. Well, it's not necessarily spelled incorrectly. People just assume it's me, JP. I had
Mhm.
Twitch themselves. I don't know how they fucked this one up, but on a blog post on Tuesday or Monday, uh, on like blog.twitch.tv, it was like a quote about co-streaming events and stuff like that. And my name was dash just JP and lowercase parenthesis IITIME
Oh
capital
wow.
JP in parentheses. And then it linked to twitch.tv/ItmeJP. Like what? How do you fuck that up? You're linking to the goddamn website.
Oh
You just
wow.
look at the guy, you look at the website and he put that as who's the quotes from. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
So I
that's
don't know.
like when I was like typing in the names and stuff for everything, I was just copy pasting for my Twitch. I was
Yeah.
like, copy paste.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. I've got a I don't know if it might be in a box somewhere, but I have like a Avermedia external capture card.
Hmm.
When they first came out, they sent me one and they had the names engraved, but it says I time JP. And so the names have been spelled multiple times, or incorrectly multiple times across a
To
ton
be
of different
fair,
things.
if
So
someone has dyslexia, your name must be pretty difficult.
I'm sure, yeah, yeah. And plus, I think the other thing, being gamers, it's me, Mario is such a common
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
phrase. So they think that that's like where my name came from. But really, it's just the fact that 6 letters is better than 7, and S's are just stupid letters to begin with. Because my name, JP McDaniel, is not JP McDaniels, but I get called JP
Oh.
McDaniels by practically everyone on the internet. So I've just kind of tried to do away with S's in general.
So I'm about to ask you the pretty much the most important question
Okay, I'm ready.
anyone gets asked on this.
Okay.
And Mind Killer's asking, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Fuck no. Pineapple on pizza is a travesty and should never. I can't see your response, so I don't know if you're grinning or grimacing right now. But pineapple on pizza is just an abomination. What are you doing?
We are now best friends.
Okay, good, good.
Like,
Pineapple on pizza is disgusting.
so I've had like periods of my life where like, do I even consider people who eat pineapple pizza human? Like it's
Right? No, they're lesser human beings.
yeah,
I
just it's
can't
just
confirm that. Yeah.
don't like it. And my girlfriend likes pineapple on pizza, so I'm in a hard
You
position
got to
right
dump
now.
her, man. I mean, she's
Yeah.
got to go. It's just
Thank
how it
you.
is.
Just like it's so refreshing to hear that. That's thank you. That was the correct answer.
Now, I'm not anti-pineapple, okay? I
Yeah,
just don't
pineapple's
think
great.
pineapple on pizza is bad. It's just a bad combo. Like, you shouldn't do that.
Mhm.
But pineapple by itself, one of my favorite things. Have you ever had grilled pineapple before?
Nope.
They do it at like certain Korean barbecue places. Grilled pineapple is fucking amazing.
Really?
It is like candy. Yeah, it's like candied pineapple. It's so good. But if you put it on pizza, man, you're
It's
fucking
wrong.
up. It's just wrong. It's
Yep.
just wrong. Yeah.
I agree. Next question is by Trout Something Fish. What is the longest your beard has ever been?
Um, the longest that it's Brazilian, not I don't know why I said Korean. It's Brazilian food. It does the grilled pineapple.
Oh,
Anyways, the longest it's I think if you go back, I can actually send you a link. If you go back and watched Dropped Frames episode 1,
hmm.
my beard is exceptionally long. In there. I'll send it to you on Skype.
I can't actually open anything right now because I think everything will fall apart if I do.
I got you. I'll link it in the chat. I got you. Let me make sure that's the right thing. It's being
We can
linked.
link it to people in chat and we'll try to get a picture in later, but this is pretty fragile right now.
Actually, hold on. I can do. All right. If I break everything, I apologize. You
Oh,
see
that's
it?
pretty long. I see it. Yeah, we see it. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's pretty long.
Wow.
I think that's the longest it's ever been. Ko's beard is all. Ko looks like he's in like a dungeon or something. And seen like he's got jaundice or something. And then Zeke's wearing this weird. It was a weird time for this pilot episode. It really was. It was. I'm not sure how long ago that was. Let me bring back my camera. Is that me?
That
You
was
see me?
perfect. Yep.
Cool. All right.
Nothing broke.
Yeah. That was January 8th, 2015. One of the nice things about being on the internet so much is that you can just find videos of yourself
Yeah,
from
and nothing gets taken
time
down
ago.
ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how old are you?
I 31. Do you ever have that thing happen to you where someone
Yeah,
asks how old you are and you have no idea?
yeah. I keep saying
It's just not
28. I'm 29 now.
it's just not a thing that I get asked all that. I think I'm 31. Yeah.
You're
31.
86?
Yep, 86.
Yeah.
Yeah, September. Yeah.
Stormbread is asking, hey, ItmeJP, what kind of product do you use to make your hair so pretty like that?
I don't well, that's not true. So I don't use any this might be a troll question, but I'm going to answer it seriously. I don't use any actual product in my hair. I blow dry my hair immediately after I get out of the shower, as well as my beard, and then you comb it down. But I have a pretty big like fascination with soaps and shampoo.
Hmm.
My girlfriend likes to make fun of me because, you know, the not a meme. The usual story is women just have a ton of different products, right? In my bathroom, I have about 4 different body lotion soaps things and like 5 or 6 different shampoos. And we're not talking like
Wow.
cheap ass shampoos here. We get the real deal. Last 2 weeks ago, I got some Paul Mitchell shampoo 1. Never used it before. It's got a light lemon to it. It's pretty great. My favorite shampoo though is Aveda rosemary mint, I think is what it's called.
Like, you're just dropping the knowledge here.
I'm gonna answer this seriously. I have like a giant thing like this big
Wow.
of shampoo, and it was like 60-70 bucks. It was pretty expensive shampoo. But yeah, anytime I go to the grocery store and I happen to walk by like the beauty section or whatever, I'll usually buy like new shampoos to try shit out.
I'm
'Cause why
very
not?
impressed. And you're
Yeah.
you're dating Aurelian, right?
Yes. Yeah. So she has a lot of hair too, so she should know this stuff. She
No,
uses
she's awesome. Like, she helped me get into Like I had accidentally not +1 for the Twitch party, and she was like, "No, it's sorted."
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Pretty
cool.
cool.
But yeah, she's not allowed to use my shampoos, so she's that's not true. She actually gets mad at me because of how much shampoo I use. But anyways, let's move on.
Oh. The next, this is a great question. Moderni is asking, how did you come up with the name ItmeJP?
So in 20, I don't know what the date was, 2010, 2009. I used to idle a bunch of IRC chats. For those who don't know what IRC is, it's basically what Twitch chat is running off of, and kind of how that whole thing works. But back in the day, MIRC was kind of the one of the best ways to just have different communities and stuff like that. And when I played Quake, I used the name Moogle, like Final Fantasy, except the L was a 1, because I was making fun of Fatality at the time, who's one of the earliest pro gamers for Quake. And it was about that time we started doing a podcast, and I was like, man, Moogle is like a really stupid fucking name and like kind of immature and has like, so I think I just changed my name on a whim to ItmeJP and IRC, and it kind of just stuck. For whatever reason, I never, the idea of like having online, like most people just call me JP, which is my real name. And I didn't want to have like an online persona in that sense.
Yeah.
So I just kind of stuck with it.
Cool. I just realized that I might have been butchering your name as well.
Oh, are you saying it may? That's fine. It's
Yeah.
it me. Yeah.
It
It me
me.
JP.
It me, JP. I
Yep.
blame the accent.
It's only it me or it may JP when I'm playing May in Overwatch. That's the meme. See?
Dude, I love Overwatch. I hate May though. Like getting frozen and when you're Roadhog and there's a May on the other team.
Yep. It's really upsetting. But I don't play Roadhog and I play May, so I'm never in that situation.
I'm a lot. Polarity Reversal is asking, what's your favorite football team?
Favorite football team? I don't watch a lot of football. I don't watch a lot of sports just because I don't have cable.
Yeah.
But I guess because I'm from Texas, the Dallas Cowboys, but that might earn me a lot of anti. I don't really like the Dallas Cowboys, but I have to have an answer to this question. So let's go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, whenever someone asks me stuff like that, I just like say real life stuff and hiss at them. Ugh.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Nundo is asking, JP, what will your game of the year be?
I don't know because I can't put Path of Exile on there. It was
Hmm.
decreed today by Co and Zeke that Path of Exile did not release this year. It was only updated, and it is not eligible for Game of the Year. So
Oh.
I don't know. It's probably going to be something real stupid.
Any other like runner-ups that you're thinking about, or?
Well, I'm not going to give away the show, man. No, this year's been pretty crazy for games. Like Zelda was fantastic. Super Mario Odyssey was fantastic. Wolfenstein, I think, had a great story. What was the PS4? Horizon Zero Dawn was great. XCOM DLC was great, although I can't include that on the list because it's DLC. Darkest Dungeon was great.
Yeah.
But again, it's DLC. Can't include it on the list. It's been a pretty good year. Cuphead was fucking fantastic. Getting Over It was still one of my favorite games. I haven't finished it yet though.
That
But
was so hard.
still really good. Yeah. There's been a lot of Assassin's Creed Origins was a lot of fun. There's been a lot of good games this year for sure. And games that I haven't even played, like I think Nier is going to be on a lot of people's lists as well, but I haven't touched it yet, and probably won't, to be honest. But
Yeah, I personally don't get to play that many other games. Like I'm pretty consumed by Path of Exile still. So,
right, that makes sense.
Dr. Sealzug is asking, JP, is SOTG still a thing?
SOTG is State of the Game. That was the name of the StarCraft podcast. We haven't done an episode of that in almost 2 or 3 years. So it's definitely not still a thing. But I still talk to Day9, one of the people on the show. I still talk to Jeff a lot. Artosis and Tasteless still commentating StarCraft. Talk to them a lot. Or talk to them fairly often. I wouldn't say a lot, but yeah. I'm still keeping contact with all those guys for sure. But we haven't done the show in a while.
Wascally is asking, do you see yourself sticking around for longer than 300 hours on Path of Exile this time?
If I make it to 300 hours in this league, especially being around the holidays, I'll probably have a really upset girlfriend. I probably would be really bad at getting gifts for people. Like, I think launching Path of Exile League or season, whatever you want to call it, around the holidays for normal people, not streamers, for the
Mm,
normies is great because they have more time to play.
yeah.
But for streamers, we actually have, in a weird way, less time to play because we actually have obligations around the holidays, right? So we can't stream, or most of us can't stream for 10 plus hours a day, or our families are just going to hate us.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I put in 300 hours. I would love to say that I'm going to, but I'm. I wear a lot of my emotions in terms of streaming on my skin and just like how I interact. So if I'm not feeling it and a new build doesn't fix me being interested in the game, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope I can put another 300 hours into it, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like I kind of can't relate to that myself. Like I do like crazy long streams over Christmas because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are like really alone over Christmas and stuff.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's good for
Yeah.
them to have something to watch. So I actually
Oh,
don't
I agree.
go home for Christmas. I usually spend
Yeah.
time with my parents like either a month after or a month before.
No,
That's
I think one of the best times to stream
mm,
is holidays. Not only
yeah.
because it gives people something to watch and something to do for the reasons you just stated, but it also just because more people are able to watch at
Mm,
that time.
yeah.
So, like business wise, it's a smart decision to stream as much as possible.
Yeah. And it's like it's a nice community feeling as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've streamed I think almost every Christmas day
Mm,
for the past 4 or 5 years. And it's always the conversation is always like, "Hey, what'd you guys get for Christmas?" Right? And you get to kind of celebrate that, or just being around other people on something like Christmas is super cool to begin with, even if you don't even get presents at any in any way. And then you can gift them a sub or something like that.
yeah, for sure. No girl is asking, for someone into streaming for that long, do you think Twitch itself has changed to a better state?
Twitch is in this weird place right now, where I feel like they're being Twitch is an entity, is being pulled in so many different directions by so many different things, whether it's Amazon, whether it's the Twitch community, whether it's things like IRL. Um, eh, I definitely feel it's in a better place. It's in the best place that it's ever been, only because we have so many more options to us as streamers and as viewers. But I think that there's quickly approaching a time where Twitch as a company is going to have to decide if they're going to go the YouTube route and become a company that doesn't really interact with the community,
Mm,
or they're going to go the opposite route and fully focus on the community. I think one of the things that was great about Twitch when it first started out was you had names and faces. I mean, you mentioned someone by name that helped you get your stream name changed,
yeah.
right? And that's awesome. But now the site's gotten so big and it's overarching so many different niche communities that there's the good side of stuff like that, but there's also the bad side of stuff where they have to ban someone, or they have to get rid of someone, or they have to report someone, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Something has to happen. And when a name is tied to that, that name, that person can get a shit ton of backlash for it
Oh yeah.
when they really shouldn't, because it's not there's not one person at Twitch that fucking controls literally. Even the CEO doesn't control literally everything.
Mm,
He can sure have input, right? And the input is considered by everyone else, and they make a decision. That's just kind of how it works business wise.
mm,
Um, but I think the general population of Twitch thinks that a lot of these people are making the decisions themselves,
yeah.
and that person particularly deserves to get a shit ton of hate.
Mm,
And I think Twitch is either going to have to come out and protect its employees when they do stuff like that, or remove a face and name from all of that and just become a support at twitch.tv that's making all of these claims and having to remove people and making announcements and stuff like that. So I think the day where that shift one way or the other is coming very quickly. Um, but regardless, I think Twitch is going to continue to grow and change and support its broadcasters as best as possible. there's just going to be a couple bumps along the way while they figure out what the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's both as like what Amazon wants them to do, what they want to do as a company, what they want. I think IRL is probably a pretty big topic of
Oh yeah.
conversation, specifically with where Twitch is going. Um, Twitch needs to figure out what the fuck they want to do with that, and they need to have a stance on that. They can't just let it lie, because if they do that, you have a whole bunch of people that are just super upset and confused because X person's been banned, and we don't have anything to comment on that. What are you supposed to do except
Mm.
just be shitty to one another? Right?
Yeah.
It's a really weird situation with that stuff, but kind of a long-winded answer to the question. I think
Oh,
that
it's
Twitch
good.
has only gotten better over the past couple of years in terms of what they've offered to broadcasters and to viewers. But there's definitely things that I think are coming to a head and are going to have to go down a path pretty soon.
Yeah. I think what I personally like about Twitch is that like personal feel, like when you have like a partner rep or someone you could talk to from Twitch and be like, hey,
Yeah,
what about this stuff like that? I think that's really good. Um,
yeah, I agree.
while we're talking about Twitch, do you feel like it's harder to quote make it on Twitch now? Like the more the platform is growing and you see like so many people stuck between like 0 and 2 viewers, how do you feel like that has changed over the years? Do you feel like it was easier if you started earlier?
Um, I think inherently, yes, it's easier in anything if you get in at the ground floor. But this question's always a little bit weird because we get it a lot on drop frames. And me personally, I came over to Twitch with an audience,
Yeah.
so there wasn't necessarily, if anything, the audience has gone down from when I first started, because back for State of the Game we used to average 15 20,000 viewers every single
Mm.
week. And drop frames is around like 10 or 12 now, so it's definitely building back up in that sense. But it I think just inherently it's near impossible these days to get started. If people come to me and say, hey, I want to become like I have a family member who's in high school and super interested in what it is that I do, and all of his friends and stuff watch Twitch and watch YouTube in school. And now his parents are like getting him a PC because he wants to start streaming. And I'm just like, please do not do this. This is a bad idea. You're not going to make a lot of money doing what it is that I do, just because it's really hard. Not that it's hard work. It's just hard to get your name established in any sense. And there's definitely tricks and stuff like that to do it. But I think nowadays you have to be so unique and go at it with such a. I think like a lot of people like to shout like Dr. Disrespect and Shroud are some of the just like kind of blew up out of nowhere. They've both been streaming for quite a long time. It's
Yeah.
not like they just appeared like 6 months ago out of thin air and decided, hey, I should try the streaming thing. No, Shroud's been playing games professionally and built up his stream for a long time. And Dr. Disrespect has been doing it for a super long time as well. And he's been
Yeah.
in the industry as well. He already had connections. So if you're coming in this completely and utterly blind and having zero foothold in the world of streaming, the world of gaming, I would say it's near impossible.
Takes a lot of
But
hours.
yeah, at the same time, I came in super blessed and super able to just do it right from the get go. So I have a little bit of a unique perspective and a very lucky one as well. But I don't know, man. Streaming is pretty tough for sure.
Yeah. Well, we have very different starts that way because I did like come in blind and with no prior anything, but I feel like one of the big things for me was just the ladder system in Path of Exile. Like if you go to the ladder on the Path of Exile website, it'll like show
Yeah.
the live Twitch stream of whoever's like the highest on the ladder. And for example, I'd say like one of the biggest things that happened for me was Rise QT dying because there was one other person who was higher than me on the ladder, which is
Yeah.
Steel, and he didn't stream. But if Rise had survived, he would
Oh,
have been higher than me on the ladder, and everyone would have just continued to watch Rise. But Rise
that
dying
makes
was
sense.
actually really big for me, and like
Yeah.
Havoc, Rise, and Ziggy, and a couple other like broadcasters, it's such a friendly streaming community.
Yeah.
So
That's
everyone's
cool.
like,
I didn't know that they had that stuff on the ladder link. That's really cool.
yeah. And now this is more of a later feature, but they've started like like showing what like the top streamers are on just pathofexile.com and stuff like that too.
Nice. Yeah, like I think that's I think marketing agencies are starting to clue into that stuff. Because even like for Overwatch and for Hearthstone and stuff like that, they'll include a lot of that stuff in the Blizzard launcher for just
Yeah,
streams, and
there's
it's super smart.
definitely like a lot of exposure through streaming.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's one of the best ways if you are going to take a stab at it. You can't just expect to stream every single day for 6 months and see a shit ton of success, right? You have to do what you did and like find an in, which
mm,
was the latter for you. And
yeah,
again, you got lucky because Rise died, and that kind of catapulted
it
you
helped a lot.
upwards for sure. Yeah.
Lucky Edie's asking, who was your role model while growing up, and who do you look up to now?
Who was my role model? Uh, I don't. I guess. Hmm. I don't know if I had like specifically one person, but I know when I was in high school and then college, I definitely looked up to like some of the old school podcasts that I used to listen to,
Hmm.
like One Up Yours, which was a oneup.com podcast, GFW Radio, which was Games for Windows Live, or Games for Windows, and then, or sorry, I guess it wasn't GFW Radio before that. Anyways, an old podcast, and kind of looking to see what those guys did and realizing what those guys did. Was like, hey, I want to do that. That seems fun. That's kind of what started a lot of the early podcast stuff. And funny enough, a lot of those guys that were on those podcasts I've actually had the chance to meet and interview, and some of them been on some of the other shows that I've done, which was a fantastic experience. But in terms of who I see as like a role model now, it's a weird question. I think I don't know if I have like a specific role model. I think that there are certain people that I like look up to for different reasons, especially in the streaming industry.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know if I have like a go-to role model for sure.
Yeah.
Um, it's a weird thing. I don't know. Do people have role models? It's like a role model. Do you have a role model? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would say my dad is my role model, but
Yeah,
one of the reasons, I mean, there was a couple of different streamers that like sort of inspired me to stream, like Havoc616 and stuff like that. But I'd also watched Soda Poppin', and I
yeah.
was like, because
Is that why
I
you dye your hair?
no, but that was just like a sub goal one time. But the reason Soda Poppin' was because I was like really I wanted to stream. But I
Yeah,
kept like thinking like, well, can I do it? Like, why would people watch me? And I was watching Soda, and there was like nothing sort of like massively out of the ordinary or like super special or cool tricks or like not like MLG plays. He was just like being a bit derpy and being himself. So I was like, fuck it, if he can do it, so can I.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that sort of inspired me.
It I feel like the streaming like world is so new that if anyone like would come up to me and say like X streamer is my role model, I'd just be like, what the fuck are you doing? That person is not your role model. God damn it. they they are as dumb as I am, and I'm really dumb, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I get a lot of like young kids that are like, oh, I look up to blah 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 YouTuber, and I'm just like, why? Like, what do you? No, stop! Don't do that. But whatever. I'm not gonna go and name names or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone's gonna find different people they identify with, though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Gilles is asking, JP, are you interested in the short races?
I'm interested in watching them, not necessarily playing. I
Hmm.
think that I talked about earlier, kind of the different skill levels.
Yeah.
That third notch from the top is probably the people that are comfortable and can handle themselves in a situation like that. If I were to jump into kind of the short races, I would take a lot of time to prep
Mm.
myself for them.
They're very hard
'Cause
to
I
get
think,
into, yeah.
yeah, and it's not. it's not because it's just the information, right? Like it's no one's blocking that information or anything. It's out there. You just have to go and study a shit ton of things and like learn how all of it's done. Um, and I'm not willing to do that just yet, but
Hmm.
I enjoy watching them for sure. I don't think I'll necessarily play in them though.
Yeah, I hope they used out like official ones, which were really cool. Hopefully they'll bring those back in.
Yeah, I thought the mayhem from the I only played the 35 last week because I didn't have anything to play.
Hmm.
But I enjoyed that stuff, like having the maps or
It's
the
crazy.
different zones have like lock boxes or invasion mobs or anything.
Yeah,
That was really cool for sure.
a lot of fun. It gets a bit crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Tank Profit 151 is asking, have you checked out Path of Building for like looking at putting together your own build?
Yes. Well, not for putting together my own build, but it's I have Path of Building or had Path of Building downloaded um, for when I was going for a lot of the shaper stuff, and I wasn't too knowledgeable about if item X or item Y was better from like the auction house. I would create a custom item and put that stuff in there and just kind of look at the raw DPS. And I think too when you stream, when you first start streaming, especially if you've played a game like Diablo 3, you look at the numbers, right? But in Path of Exile, like tooltip DPS, chat will be very quick to tell you doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
And so going into some like Path of Building and finding out what the actual effective DPS is means so
Yeah.
much more. And as soon as I learned that, I use it nonstop now. Whenever I like make a character or work on a character.
I think now they like started doing that. That makes it like a lot easier to get to the point where you can start making your own builds. Because then you'll understand
Yeah,
more like the choice between like different nodes and stuff.
yeah, for sure. And I think I started to see some of that in towards the end of kind of the last league or whatever. I definitely was like, well, I understand now why I went that way, but that way has more HP plus a jewel,
Mm.
blah blah blah. And I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to make some tweaks, but I never ended up going down that path. So I
Yeah.
started down there, but not yet.
I think I'm excited to see why you do this thing.
Yeah, sure.
Kraya is asking, what classes did you play in role-playing games and MMOs before, and do those classes have an impact on the builds you now prefer playing in PoE?
Maybe to start out with, I've kind of always played just whatever I feel like in the moment. In MMOs, what would be the first back in Dark Age of Camelot, which is a really really old MMO. A little bit after EverQuest in its time, I played a Thane, which was
Hmm.
funny enough like a spell. It was a terrible fucking class, the worst class, which is funny with parallels to Arc because it was also a storm based class, cast lightning and all that stuff, but it was awful. It was the worst. And then I went to the most OP build in Dark Age of Camelot, which was a enchanter, um like right after that. So I kind of did the same thing that I did in Path of Exile, funny enough. But I've played casters, I've played healers, I've played tanks. In World of Warcraft, I've leveled every class to max,
Nice.
or max at whatever the max was at that current
Yeah.
time. Um, and then in tabletop games, I've played pretty much every style of character out there because I think we've had like I don't know, personally probably like 30 or 40 different characters over all the different stuff that we played for tabletop. But
Wow.
I try to keep it interesting to me. So if that is a interesting to me, but also something that I don't have to relearn. Like I was thinking about playing a like an SRS build, like a necro type build, pet class and this league, but I don't know enough about that whole
Yeah.
thing that it seems different enough from everything that I've played that I probably won't go down that path.
Hmm.
Um, just because it's a lot more information for me to learn, and I want to kind of feel like I understand what I'm doing rather than I'm learning something new. Um, So it'll probably still be like in the same realm of Sunder and Spectral Throw and that type of stuff.
I'm
But
hoping to see you play Cyclone now.
yeah, Cyclone looks pretty cool. Do you use is Cyclone dual wield or is it two handed or what do you
I
use?
usually use an axe.
Two hander.
Yeah.
That's 6 slot though, man. You got to or the 6 link has got to kind of suck there.
You don't need a 6 link. Just get a tab video, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but then what do you? Okay, I'll look up a build.
It's fun, I promise. I promise.
Okay.
Chia Xiang is asking, Lyric once suggested that PoE/GGG don't mess around, but it kills his streams. Do you think there's anything GGG can do to improve the Twitch numbers despite PoE being a niche game that it is?
I mean, I think the hat stuff is a good first start there. I think one of the reasons that um when you get there, there's a there's a thing you have to consider when you get to the size of a Lyric or a Dr. Disrespect or a Summit or a Shroud or um I guess you would include Soda Poppin in there, but he's kind of a fringe
Hmm.
streamer in that sense. When you get to like 20,000 plus viewers is basically what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
It you have to really consider, you know, are is that amount of viewership going to stick with me when I play a fringe game such as Path of Exile?
Hmm.
When it first comes out, it might, but a lot of the time, the best games to play at that level are the most popular games, which is why you see like PUBG and Fortnite kind of running that space right now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it used to be like World of Warcraft, which is why you saw kind of Soda Pop and spike up so much. And it still is to this day, but I think Soda Poppin was smart and kind of went into the IRL world recently. And so a lot of that world kind of filters back into the WoW streaming. Um, but a lot of it is also personality based at that level. So viewers will kind of always stick with you for the most part, but it's definitely something to consider. Like you're never going to really see, unless Soda Poppin's bored or something. You're never really going to see someone playing like a JRPG with
Yeah.
20,000 plus viewers. It just it's not a game that climbs in viewership over time in that first slot, right? It's a genre that historically kind of drops.
Hmm.
And so when it comes to Path of Exile, I think that when 3.0 hit, it was such a it really was like an event on Twitch. Not a lot of I don't even think GGG understood that so many people were going to jump into it as much as they did. And the other thing too is, well, everything I just said is some games won't work. If a big streamer like that jumps into the game, sometimes it just can work, and that's good for everyone else that streams in that directory. But because as soon as they leave it, right, to go play something else,
Yeah.
there's a percentage of those viewers that'll drop off and watch the next guy, which is usually going to be someone who's always streaming that game directory. Um, so I think that you're always going to see the big streamers play the latest and greatest, just
Yeah.
because that's best for their business. Um, so we'll see. They also have to be super interested in the game, and sometimes people lose interest in something like Path of Exile, which is just how it is.
Hmm. And you mentioned IRL. Is that something? Have you tried any IRL streaming yourself, or?
Mm, I've not tried IRL personally. I definitely have watched IRL stuff. I think like Soda Poppin and Rekful going to Japan was awesome. Um, Hafu was doing some streams in Hawaii, which was cool. Proxy was in Japan as well. I watched some of that. I'm more interested in like the not scripted. That's a really bad word to use. Like destination streams, I guess is
Yeah.
what you could call them, rather than just kind of like the bullshit, uh, like drama streams, I guess is what you would call them. Like
Yeah. I
I
see what
graduated
you.
high school almost 20 years ago. I don't need to go revisit it, right? Like, but I will go visit Tokyo through someone else's stream, or I will go
Yeah.
paragliding through someone else's stream and stuff like that.
Speaking of, like, do you find it's hard to take time off as a streamer? Is that something you wish was easier?
I I don't know if I necessarily wish it was easier, but taking off is basically like if you're not live, you're dying in that
Yeah.
sense when it comes to the business. I think that the people that excel the most are the people that have like routines when it comes to streaming.
Mhm.
That is, they're live every single day, and they know even if a stream is like the fucking biggest stream in the world, they know to not push themselves or they're going to pay for that a couple days down the line if they're an
Yeah.
everyday streamer. Um, And I definitely have learned that the hard way, where I've just, completely fucking stressed myself out from trying to do too much at one time. Um, but that's not to say, the grind of Twitch is a real thing. When people say that, the grind of Twitch is that you stream for as much as you can every single waking moment.
Oh yeah.
And as long as you enjoy that, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but the feeling of burning out is a real thing on Twitch. And I think you see a lot of broadcasters that might be slightly more agitated in how they interact with viewers, and might not necessarily come out and say, "Man, I'm burnt out," but you can tell. Like, viewers are they're pretty quick to key into how kind of a broadcaster's feeling just by how they act. So you got to be
Yeah,
pretty
for
careful
sure.
about that stuff.
Yeah, it can be pretty scary, like especially if you're like it's so scary to change games for a lot of people. Like if you're
Oh
very
yeah.
prone to get bored of a game, it could be hard to make it on Twitch.
Yep. Yep. That's I think you're seeing a lot of that right now with like PUBG, where people have been streaming it for like, I don't know. It seems like the entire year, right? Uh, but you still see people streaming it for 12 plus hours a day, and they have been for 6 months every single day, and
Yeah.
that just seems like a nightmare to me.
Oh
But that's
really?
because I don't necessarily enjoy PUBG that
Yeah.
much.
Oh,
But
right. Yeah.
yeah, like I think if I could stream Path of Exile every single day, and see growth over 6 months rather than kind of see the numbers dwindle, which historically I think the cat or the game does. It's just the nature of the game on Twitch. It starts out really strong in a league, and then you kind of see it die
Yeah.
down over time until the next league comes out. If that was the opposite, then like I'd probably be a full-time Path of Exile
Hmm.
streamer.
That's
Just,
definitely a scary thing about being a PoE streamer.
yeah,
For
yeah. It's
sure.
just the nature of the game, right?
Yeah. The
People
worst part would
come
be when
down.
they do like 4 or 6 month leagues. If it's 3 month leagues, it's perfect. But yeah, longer than that is scary.
Well, yeah. This is, you said this is pretty quick historically, right, for an expansion?
Well, yeah, but even just a new league is like great. But the problem is like they ideally they want to do a new league every 3 months and a new expansion every 6 months. So then you have
Okay.
something new happening every 3 months. And
Yeah.
then generally as a PoE streamer, you see like 1 month of insane growth, a second month of like and then you have a third month of like declining. But then when
Yeah.
you have a fourth month or a fifth month in there, you're like, oh my god, I'm dying, which is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting. Last week when they announced the hat streams, I think like top viewership around that time for whoever was number one slot was like high teens, like low 2000s, sometimes like 2,500. And then like the next day, you were sitting at like 16 or like 14 or 15,000
14,000,
viewers for
yeah.
the hat stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Which was cool to see. And so I think with them pushing down that way with the idle view botting, as I referenced it earlier,
Yeah.
that could definitely help the game and help the streamers for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because after I saw the Warframe event, that's something I messaged GGG about, and I was like, "Is this something you guys have looked into?" And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll look into it and see what happens." And then there wasn't really like that much of a prior announcement of this, and then
Yeah.
suddenly like, and this was the day I'd been online for a while already, like before streaming, and it's announced like, "Oh, we're gonna do like a hat event today," and I was like, "Oh wow!" And I was awake for like 34 hours total or something. I did like a 24 hour, 25 hour
Yikes.
stream. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't do those long streams anymore. I don't feel it the day of the stream, but the
Hmm.
next day or so I'm just dead. I'm like wiped out. I can't
Yeah,
do it.
I think the hardest for me was December when I did 18 24-hour streams in a row with like 4 or 5 hours sleeps in between. That was hard, but fun.
Yeah, that's just I don't know. I could see it happening, especially with Path of Exile, because
Yeah,
hours just melt away. But like, man, that's brutal. I feel like after 3 days of that, I'd be fucking dead.
yeah, it's a bit crazy. It's fun as well. And like the best thing about doing long hour streams, it's especially if you ever want to try out a different game. It's like when
Yeah,
you're like past hour 18 or something, like 60-70% have fallen asleep. So if you switch to like Dark Souls or something, they can't tune out. They're sleeping.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. That's a good
Um,
point for sure.
Soshir is asking, "Hey JP, how many challenges did you complete in Harbinger, and are you going for 40 out of 40 in Abyss?"
I don't know how many challenges. Is that something I can check through achievements, or do I need to log in?
I think you need to log in.
All right, I'm logging in. I'm doing it.
You're
It's
gonna
booting up.
accidentally buy something, aren't you?
I'm not that. Whoa. I'm not gonna buy anything. Okay, I make very conscious decisions on this stuff. How do I check how many? Where would I even
You
find
can
that? Do
just
I gotta
write
go in
something in
game?
chat. Like if you just write a dot in chat, it'll come up to the left of your name. It'll be a number.
Oh, really? This probably is this a troll? This is a troll. What? No, that's just the clock, man. And I whispered myself, so it wasn't in global chat.
Oh no, just like go in local. Just write the dot in local.
I'm not doing it.
Oh
I'm
yeah, the league
looking.
is over. The league is over. I'm not that smart.
Um,
Um,
is it in the menu? Challenge achievements. Oh, here we
press
go.
M apparently.
Nope, that's the shop. How do you count? What is
Apparently, you can check
considered?
on the website.
Oh, god damn it. Okay. All
I'm
right. Fine.
sorry, that's my bad. I don't know.
No, it's fine.
I'm used to a league being online.
Let's see. Uh, Path of Exile.
So apparently, if you go to profile on the website,
Challenges. Okay, here we go. 25 of 40 is what I completed in the last league.
and
Will I go for 40 or 40?
yeah.
It depends. I don't know. Some of this stuff I still like. I have no idea what the fuck the Pale Council are. I have no idea what that is. Completing twinned maps. If Katava twinned is a thing, then fucking I'm never doing that. That just sounds like a bad time.
I don't think they'll have a twin Kitava.
It just sounds nightmarish. That just sounds
Yeah.
yeah. One of those has probably reached level 100, right?
No. Like level
Oh,
90.
end game grinds is kill at Zeri 100 times. Kill Shaper. Man, that's fucking nightmarish. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. That might be like a season, a quote season 3 of me playing PoE
Oh,
to get all those. Some of those seem kind of insane, man.
they're not that bad.
I mean, killing Shaper's Guardians. Okay, 40. I had 23 out of 40 there. But killing at Zeri 100 times, killing a Zaro 100 times.
Zaro takes a while.
Yeah, Pell Council 200 times. I don't
No,
even know what the
nobody
fuck
does
those are.
that. Only crazy people do that. Nobody.
I mean, that's part of the end game grind
You don't need to
challenge.
do all of them. You only need to pick like 4 out of 6.
Oh, complete any 3. Okay. All right. I mean, I could do it Zeri, Guardians, and maybe Beachhead map or something
Yeah,
like that. That's
exactly.
not too bad. Although this
There'll
is
be
probably going
different
to
ones
change.
now. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And nobody should do Path Council. It's crazy talk.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It takes a while to get like each key for the Pale Councils. You usually rotate it with other people, but it's still who are these other people?
Yeah, that's one thing I've never done in Path of Exile is once we grouped with like Melee and Shorty, and then we stopped grouping. I never like did like group leveling or anything like that. I was always solo. So I might try to do some more group stuff.
Yeah. A lot of different streamers you can group with too, or just people from your chat too. So
yeah, for sure.
Soshir is asking, what's the best food for a no life gaming weekend? And do you believe in the power of Red Bull?
I'm not really energy drink wise. My favorite energy drink is God damn it, what's the Monster Rehab is really good. The yellow one is really good. Keep in mind that I am sponsored by Soylent, but I actually do like Soylent Cafe, which is like their coffee Soylent type stuff. That stuff's really good for streaming. Just because it's you just drink it and keep going. Pizza is always good too. Do you have DoorDash? Do you know what DoorDash is?
No.
DoorDash is an app that that you get on your phone in a bunch of like major. I would assume it's worldwide, but I'm not too sure. But they basically just go pick any food up for you and then bring it to your house.
Very handy.
So like, it's really bad though because once you realize that you can just pay someone like $2 or $3 to go get you McDonald's up the street, then you never want to drive again. So I'm kind of worried now going into a new league with the power that I wield in my hand when it comes to like DoorDash. That's
pretty good.
Really trashy food.
I tried Soylent a little bit at TwitchCon, just like a random one. It tastes bad. I might try it.
Yeah. Some people either you really hate it or really like it. It's I've never never met someone that's like middle of the road on Soylent before.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I was pretty middle of the road. I was just like, it's
Really?
okay. Yeah.
Huh.
Because I went in, I thought it would taste really bad, but it was
Yeah.
just okay. So
Did
I
you
was
just
like,
have the Did you just have the Soylent like
chocolate?
cacao? You had
Yeah.
cacao?
Yeah.
That's my favorite normal flavor for sure.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I might test it because I have a problem with like eating properly and stuff while doing these long pushes. I just end
Oh
up
yeah,
doing
it's
pizza.
impossible.
So
Streaming is not something that goes very well with eating on a regular diet and working out and sleeping. Like streaming is kind of basically death in a
yeah.
lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's
That's
really
why I
hard
want
to
to
stay
try it.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to stay healthy when it comes to streaming. I ended up getting like an exercise bike uh,
Oh.
in my house, and that's the only way that like because otherwise you're sitting in a chair, 8+ hours a day, right?
Yeah. I've actually
So
started getting a personal trainer hour every week now.
yeah,
It
yeah.
helps me a
I've
lot.
thought about going the personal trainer route, but I feel like the like do you get stressed out or anxious when you're like, oh god, my fucking trainer's gonna be so upset because I'm gonna cancel on him because like we got really good numbers right now. Maybe we could keep going. Like, is that or do
Well,
you just
no,
say
that's the
fucking and
thing.
go?
Like I usually schedule it at like times where I haven't started streaming yet. So like before a stream. So what I've been doing, and I've been like I know what to do for working and I can look tutorials and stuff like that, but what I like about a personal trainer is I have that appointment and I don't want to like disappoint someone by canceling on them. That sort of forces me to work out so I don't die. So that's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like and the first time I worked out as well, I actually threw up. Like he pushed me that hard, so I was like,
Damn, you got it. You got fucking Mr. Hardcore.
yeah. So but this time I had another session today, like earlier today, like 50,
Yeah.
16 hours ago. So yeah, it went fine. It was great. No throwing up today.
It one of the things that I notice, and I think this is just everyone notices this when you're working out or eating properly, is like energy levels are insanely better and higher.
Hmm.
And so the times that right now I eat fucking awful.
Yeah.
But the times that I have like actually taken care of myself when streaming, it's always a much better experience. But it feels really good to just eat a fucking shitty burger after like an 18
Yeah.
plus hour stream compared to like some fucking broccoli, right? Like some broccoli rice and some terrible ass chicken. So
For
whatever.
sure. Let's see. Okins is asking if you and I were stranded on an island together. Who is the big spoon and who is the little spoon?
Well, I'm 6'4", and you don't look like a very tall person to me. No,
Not me.
no.
It's this Okins guy.
So I think I would have to be Big Spoon because otherwise that's just really weird. Yeah.
Tralfta Madre is asking, what is the longest stream you have done? What game? And how long is your longest PoE stream?
Um, Longest stream I've ever done. 24 hours. I used to do a bunch of 24-hour streams. I'm trying to think. I guess the most recent one was probably on Overwatch launch. I did a stream called 21 and 21, which I played every single hero for an hour.
Hmm.
And then I kept going for a little bit after that. So that was probably like 25 or 26 hours of Overwatch when that first launched.
Very cool.
What was the second part of the question? I know that the
What was
Path of
your
Exile
longest
longest
PoE
stream.
stream?
Oh, probably like I think I remember doing like 16 hours sleep for like 5 or 6 hours, then 18. And this was all like not on purpose. This was just
Yeah.
because I lost time with like I just lost sense of time while playing. And so it was like 17 sleep, 18 hours sleep, 18 hours sleep, and then
Yeah.
finally I was just like, I gotta fucking stop this.
I think I tuned in like you were clearing a channel or something and you'd been awake like 16, 17 hours and I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, yeah. Early on last league I was definitely the most addicted, so it's probably like 18 or 19 hours for sure.
Kisaima is asking, what's the country that you've always wanted to visit but you have not had a chance to yet?
The you cut out in the middle. What's the
What's the country?
country?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what country have you always wanted to visit but you have not had a chance to yet?
Um, I've always kind of wanted to visit both Scotland and Japan. I think I've been close to going to both. I've never actually been outside of the U.S. before, um, but I've had a passport for the longest time. I just never went.
Hmm.
But I feel like I think traveling is like important just as a human being to just be open to like other cultures and like experiencing that not everything is your backyard in the sense like the world's a lot bigger. It definitely opens up both like creatively and just in terms of human decency. It's smart to travel, and so I hope to once I get done with all this streaming stuff, whenever that is. Hopefully, one day I can say that I retire from streaming. I'll start traveling a lot, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do some IRL streams and go to Tokyo. I think a lot of streamers are starting to do that because they realize they can travel and work at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually tried, but it was like I was holding my camera, like literally holding it, so that was annoying.
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably hit up Gunrun and try to get one of those backpacks if I decided to do
Oh
it.
yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Rock Gnome is asking, short reason on why I should tune into your stream. Never caught one. Tell your stream.
I hate doing this. Why would you tune into my stream? Well, if I'm streaming Path of Exile, you can get a hat. If you like hats, I've got the best ones. I've heard my hat drop rate is higher than other streams. I cannot confirm or deny that. But in general, if you've never watched the stream, we're a pretty chill group. We don't get too drama related in anywhere. We do a bunch of shows as well. So if you like tabletop gaming or anything like that, certain things that you can't really find on a lot of other channels out there. And I think I also put a lot of effort into kind of the production of everything that I do, probably so much so that I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in that sense. And hopefully that carries over in the stream. But at the end of the day, I don't want you watching my stream unless you want to be there because I don't like a lot of assholes in chat. We don't really meme much on my stream as well, so it's a much chiller, a little slower stream than most. So
Pretty chill out. I like it. I've been there.
yeah, that's the plug.
Very good. I like it. I think you
Also,
already won
don't
him
piss me
over.
off when I'm playing Overwatch because
Oh, dude, it brings out the worst in people.
I'm just saying I've said some things that I kind of regret to people in the chat before.
Yeah.
So be careful. Be careful.
Dota and Han and LOL and stuff like that. Just Han makes me a different
Yeah.
person.
Yep. Yep.
New
Yeah, there's a reason I have 2 salt emotes. So
Oh, yeah. Newfieberg is asking, if you were able to meet anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
someone asked, I don't know where I got asked this question or similar question. So I guess somebody used the same answer. I think it'd be cool to eat. I think it'd be cool to meet Elon Musk.
Hmm.
I think he is a pretty smart dude, and I think he's kind of like the Tony Stark of our of real life in that sense. And so it'd be pretty cool to talk to. But yeah, I don't know if I'd have a second answer for that I haven't used before. Elon Musk is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting person to eat.
Yeah. Eat or meat. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how it works. You eat people and gain their power. So, yeah.
Eat their
You
brains
be
and steal
super
their
rich.
knowledge. I like it.
Yeah.
Toki is asking, what do you think about the Pewee trade system, and do you think something needs to be changed? Have you checked that out?
No, so they made some changes to that recently, right? Or a couple, like a month or so ago.
Yeah.
What are the changes? Because I don't know them off. I
Well,
have
so
not
they
experienced
basically
it.
they added their own Pewee trading on like the actual Path of Exile website. If you haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, is it fine? Like, does it do anything that PoE trade doesn't? I know that like the
This,
AFK thing is now
yeah, they
there.
added the AFK thing, and that's like available on both sites now. So
Yeah, I think that's a huge quality of life change.
for sure.
I mean that with PoE trade, that's really the only thing that I kind of historically have always wanted,
Yeah.
or at least wanted when I played last season. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of I always go back and forth with like the idea of offline trading, in the sense that like you don't have to be there and your item just disappears if it's in one of the stashes. But I think, with how much I said earlier in the AMA of people, a sense of community with kind of
Yeah.
that stuff, and I think that GG has said that before as well. I really think it's there's truth to it. Like, even if you just say, 3 chaos, I want to buy this. Okay, here's a trade, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, hey, thanks, have a nice day. Um, that's more than you'll get in the majority of online communities. And
Yeah.
it's much more positive than anything you'll get in the online communities. Um, I always try to, for whatever reason, if I've been using, it's really lame, but if I've been using a certain item that I'm selling for like I think when I was playing Sunder, I had a Siege X that I used for like the first 20 hours or so of the build, and I ended up selling it. Uh, I think I said like, hey, that lasted 20 hours. I hope it lasts you even longer, or something like that. Really stupid, cheesy shit. But
That's
at the
good
end of the
though.
day, if the other guy's like, oh man, cool, thanks. Or even if he's like, all right, go fuck yourself. All right, thanks for the item. Like, I don't care. I felt good about it. So I think I'm interested in that type of stuff. So who
No, that's
knows?
really good. You can like meet people. Like I met a few of my early Path of Exile friends through just trading and stuff. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good for sure.
Unsung Cesspool is asking, I love drop frames with Ko and Zeke. Out of all the guests you have, which one has been the most controversial? And which one has been the best ever? And which guest would you like to see on it?
Controversial. We tend to not really bring in anyone that's like super controversial on the show, just because we don't really focus on drama too much. Um, I guess the one guest that I did get people tweeting me like, "Why is this person on here?" would probably be Soda Poppin. I feel like he's a pretty polarizing, in some ways, or at least in the past. Definitely in the
Hmm.
past, he's been pretty polarizing personality on the site. And as far as I can recall, probably the one person that, well, that's not true. We had Casey Tron on pretty early in the show. She wasn't on the quote main drop frames. She was on a show called Dropped Fems, which
Hmm.
had 3 other guests or hosts on the show. But Casey Tron definitely got a lot of this was kind of back in her heyday, when she was kind
Hmm.
of the queen of drama in that sense, or facilitated drama in that sense. What was the second part of that?
And which
Who's the
has
best
been the
guest?
best ever, and which guest would you like to see on it?
Trihex is definitely the best guest ever. Uh, one of the, I think a thing that makes a good guest is someone that's super, super passionate and also very qualified and able to speak intelligently about what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And Trihex is like a fucking god at that stuff. He comes on the show and whatever the fuck he's talking about, I'm like super into. Even if it's like speed running Yoshi's whatever
Nice.
game it is that he plays, like I'm just super into it. He's a great guy, really really positive guy. Um, and what guest would I want to have on there? I think it'd be cool to get. I think everyone's like, you got to get Doctor Disrespect, but I don't want to talk
Yeah.
to Doctor Disrespect. I want to talk to like the actual person,
Yeah.
not Doctor, like the actual guy behind
Out of
Doctor.
character, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he would do it for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't
Um,
seen him out of character very much.
Yeah, he's pretty always. I mean, he was on like the H3 podcast, this Doctor Disrespect, and that type of stuff would be cool. I like to get Shroud on as well. I think he's pretty. He's got a pretty interesting story, and I don't think he would. He'd probably be into it for
Hmm.
sure. I have found that when you, some people, when you're a lot a bigger streamer, you don't actually like, it's kind of a lonely experience in a way that you don't have that much human interaction
Yeah.
when you're kind of at the top. Whether it's from the fact that you just stream nonstop and you got to focus on your viewers, or if you're afraid that if you collaborate with other people, that viewers will go elsewhere, etc. Sometimes a lot of the bigger, like the biggest streamers, are not the best on shows.
Hmm.
They just they either feel awkward about it or they feel like they don't belong there. I don't really know what it is, but sometimes they're not the best for sure. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll
It's
see who I
really
get.
scary when you're sort of like, because when you're on your own stream, you're always in control. Nobody's prompting you on questions, nobody asking you anything. It's
Yeah.
can be pretty scary, especially if you don't have podcast experience and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that there's definitely it's a learned skill to kind of go back and forth with someone, uh, and if you don't have that, it can be really fucking awkward and
Mhm.
really intimidating.
Yeah. Old guy Steve is asking, did you ever get your portal gem?
My portal, um, did I get a portal gem drop? I think I did, but I never used it. Only because I don't think I had any slots left or something like that. I want to say I got a portal drop though sometime last week. My chat would probably know better than I would because I don't particularly recall.
Yes, he got a portal gem. He couldn't work it in.
Yeah, there you go.
GMB87 is asking, how did you feel when Brigor died? Or worst character death?
Trying to think like who was the first? What was the first name you mentioned? Because I don't even know that character death.
How did you feel when Bregor died?
Oh, Bregor. Oh. I thought Bregor was another streamer, and we were talking about like hardcore deaths. No, he's talking about role play characters. How did
Yeah.
I feel when Bregor died? I feel like he got screwed over by the DM, and it was really shitty. And the worst character death was not necessarily worst for me, but worst for other people because they had to kill me. It was I played like a wizard who was evil in a sense,
Hmm.
and he died because the party slit his throat. So
Oh, wow. That's
it was
brutal.
it was a pretty intense situation when the three people that you're playing with decide to slit your character's throat.
That's crazy. Game PvP.
Yeah. It's always real weird when that happens, for sure. It doesn't happen too
That's...
much.
So this has been around 2 hours now, which is how long these generally go on for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to
Cool.
end it with ZD's question. And he's
Okay.
asking, JP, you've made some really successful podcasts in StarCraft 2 and a general Twitch one. What do you think has been the key component to their success?
The key component to their success, I think it was that both of the podcasts got started when the particular area that they were aimed to cover was also starting, and so they grew along with the community. So like with State of the Game, StarCraft, it started off when StarCraft 2 was just starting, and so as StarCraft 2 grew, the people that were on the show were also people that I kind of knew were poised to be the figureheads of the community. And so StarCraft 2 grew alongside State of the Game, and it kind of fed into itself in that sense. Um, with drop frames, I think that started back when Twitch was not necessarily super new, but it was just starting out in terms of like how big it was going to get. I got really lucky kind of hatching my or linking the show to someone like Co and someone like Zeke, who kind of took their own branches in streaming. Co kind of being the everyday streamer, and Zeke kind of going into the host world and kind of the indie
Yeah.
world. And then with role play, uh, streaming tabletop games wasn't really a thing back then. And I think that's kind of where the initial success, because it was just unique. And I think uniqueness is a pretty big key
Oh,
to
yeah.
any success on any streaming platform. So I think it's just kind of getting in at the ground floor. I don't necessarily know if I would ever do a show or start a show in something that was like super established, because it's so much harder
Oh, yeah.
to once again get your name out there.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great answer. And if people want to see more of you and like find you, where can they find you? Sell yourself a little bit. Twitter, Twitch.
Uh, I never do shout outs on my own show, but if you want to come check me out, it's just everything / ItmeJP. There's no S at all. It's just 6 letters. ItmeJP on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. You can check out /drop frames on Twitter as well if you want to catch any of that show, or twitter.com/roleplay if you want to check out that show as well.
Well, let's get some thank you at ItmeJP in chat. Thank you,
It's it.
ItmeJP.
It's just
In
gonna
chat
happen.
and
You know?
some easy
Just gotta let it
claps.
happen.
Let's get some easy claps in chat. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, man, this is always fun. Thanks again for asking me to come on, and good luck in Abyss and whatever your goals are.
It'll be probably first level 100. So I'm going for it.
Oh shit. Okay. Good luck with that. You're not going to be sleeping much.
Nope. So the way we're gonna do this now, and thank you again so much for coming on. I'm gonna hide your camera so I don't leak anything,
Okay.
and then we're gonna ditch you. Thank you so much, dude.
Okay. Sounds good. By the way, send those builds over, you know.
Oh yeah. I can help you if you want, for sure. Thank you so much, dude. I'll see you later.
Okay. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.